Hello YouTube, welcome to GamingHouse, and today I'm going to be reading you the review of Shadow of Mordor. I'm going to start off saying I did enjoy the game very much. My main worries were the game was actually going to be a lot shorter than what it was, and also that the Nemesis system was going to be quite shallow, which actually both proved to be quite the opposite. I'll start off breaking down the story. The story takes place between the Hobbit and the Fellowship of the Ring. And it's before Mordor became all barren and all that, so we got this nice lush green environment to work with. Side stuff in the story, such as plants, animals, a bunch of other lore and all that's explained in-game, unlike a certain other game that we maybe have played before. Destiny! The characters are pretty enjoyable. Talion is a nice hero. We got a bunch of other side characters, a dwarf, a former ranger and all that. Gripe though is we don't get to see them as much. They show up for their main story / side missions, and then after that we kind of don't see them ever again, which is kind of a shame because they're pretty enjoyable. Particularly the dwarf, I liked him a lot. The gameplay, the combat plays out like all the Arkham games. So if you like the combat in Arkham games, you'll like the combat here. You know, if Batman had a sword and totally fucked people up and chopped people's heads off. The stealth is pretty much a blend of Assassin's Creed. The stealth mechanic is tied to a trigger button, so anytime you crouch down, you start moving around. Kind of works it alright. It's borderlines fucking Assassin's Creed-like. The finishers and combos are pretty satisfying to do, especially Fury kills. You start getting the ability to do one or more finishing moves and all that. It's really satisfying and really awesome. The skill tree has plenty of useful skills. There's only a few that I would say probably I would pass up on, but that depends on your playstyle. But generally, I think they're all pretty useful and they're all really good, especially when you start getting towards the end of the tree. You just become this ultimate badass character that pretty much can mop up hordes of Uruk-hai and orcs now. Some gripes about gameplay is the character movement is sometimes kind of clunky, especially when climbing and all that. And that's kind of like what Assassin's Creed has an issue with too, is sometimes with climbing as well, so I'm not going to chalk it up to like a major thing. It's kind of a nitpicky thing because even they don't even have it correct. Another is when targeting enemies sometimes. It could just be me when I button mash sometimes, but when you go to do something to someone, you might lock on to someone you're not supposed to. Say you're trying to do a finisher and you lock on to a captain, but they're invulnerable to combat finishers, so they counter you and blocks. Like, oh, god damn it, I didn't mean to lock onto that guy. And getting into that, we're going to talk about the Nemesis system and the Uruk-hai and orcs. The Nemesis system is fantastic. I love it. Essentially, it's just randomly generated orcs. They have their own kind of little personality and all that. When you get into a fight with captains, they'll block you into a little cutscene kind of where you lock swords, or they'll shout at you from afar. Have a little dialogue exchange depending on who they are. If they survived combat with you before or ran away, or you ran away, they'll talk about that. It's fun. It's interesting. I had one guy that was just creepily laughing at me for like a solid minute. It's like, okay, this guy's fucking weird as hell. And with the Nemesis system, death has meaning in this game. Death just isn't, you die, alright, go back to a checkpoint, except for story missions. If you die in free roam, time advances forward in the free roam. The guy that killed you gains power, so he's now harder to kill. If he was, say, vulnerable to stealth kills, he may have gotten to a point now where that's no longer weakness. Now you gotta straight up beat him in melee combat only. Not only that, but also more captains might rise in rank, or certain people will be killed off and new guys replace them. It's a really fun system that could really kill time in free roam when you're dicking around or choosing to lay waste to a whole Uruk-hai army. And it gets really interesting when you learn how to brand, because I have a whole section where I pretty much control an entire orc army besides like 5 slots, and those people are dead anyway. And another cool aspect is roaming around within Mordor. You get little snippets sometimes that you'll hear from the orcs conversating at campfires and such, and they'll comment on things that are going on in the story. such as, oh, did you hear about this guy? He got killed off. This guy's in charge now. And it's stuff you've done. It's stuff you've done. Like, I went off and I killed someone with Karagor. I think that's what they're called. The big dog beasts. That's what I'm gonna go with. And they were talking about hey, did you hear about blah 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 blah, whatever his name is? He got fucking mauled to death. It's like, wow, that's pretty cool. Some nitpicky stuff. I had House of Thieves over. He watched me play a little bit, and he made this notion. He compared it with Rise, and it makes me wish that this game was more next gen, meant for next gen, not across all platforms. Because he mentioned in Rise, like, you know, some of these finishers that you can do in Rise, like you cut someone open, oh man, you got the blood, bones, and all that, and the slash marks and etc. Whereas in this game, it's not quite chopping off limbs. You are chopping off heads and stuff, but you know, comparing the gore between the two, that was just a slight thing. Very nitpicky, personal, nothing against the game. And quick spoilers right now for this last part of nitpicking. Quick spoilers. Spoilers. Spoilers, so you've heard it like 5 times now, so you're in spoiler territory. The ending of the game kind of very pissed me off. It pissed me off because you get 3 bosses. There's the Hammer of Sauron, there's the Tower of Sauron, there's the Black Hand of Sauron. Hammer of Sauron, you fight in a straight up fight. Tower of Sauron, you have to use stealth mechanics on him, which was meh. But man, when you fucking finish him off, oh man, it's like, oh, this is a guy that's definitely killed my family, and this is how I would do to that guy. But you get to the Black Hand of Sauron, who was the last guy. I fought through waves of enemies to finally get to this guy, the last boss of the game. And you know what it is? A fucking quick time event. Are you kidding me? All this just for a quick time event. And kind of a lackluster ending in general. Definite, probably set for, I don't know, maybe a season pass. All that aside, though, I'd give the game an 8 out of 10. It is a great, solid game. Fun to play around with. Reason it's an 8 out of 10 is a couple of the nitpicks / negatives stop from being a 10. And the ending, I dock it a point for the ending just because that was a really lackluster ending. No, that's what I gotta say. This game's very enjoyable. I would say put it on your list. If you haven't picked it up already, maybe wait till holidays. Definitely pick it up, play it. If you got a friend, check it out. And as always, you're always welcome to come back over to GamingHouse for more gameplay and commentary. Ride, Sprinkles. Ride into combat. Shall take them by surprise, and what the hell? Sprinkles! Sprinkles, get down from there. Get down from there. It's overpowered. They're gonna patch that now. Sprinkles! Stop floating in midair. I will come up there. Make me come up and do this shit. God damn it. Sprinkles.